It's time for the No Half Step in Hockey coverage, so let me deliver the goods. Time for operation number 698. That's right, 698 for the Renegades of Puck. 11 plus years here in operation, and at this moment in hockey history, the Nashville Predators currently find themselves in 6th place in the Central Division. After 37 games played in the season, they have a record of 17-14-6. 40 points has them closing the gap with the competition that is above them. The St. Louis Blues are currently 1 point ahead of the Nashville Predators in 5th place, and as of this recording, the Colorado Avalanche have 41 points as well, 1 point ahead of the Nashville Predators, with the Minnesota Wild being 3rd place in the Central Division, that being the cutoff line for the playoffs. The Nashville Predators now find themselves 6 points behind the Minnesota Wild. So the pack in the middle of the Central Division is getting quite a bit closer. Nashville Predators, though, putting some separation between themselves and the lower part of the division, now 9 points ahead of the Arizona Coyotes and 20 points ahead of the Chicago Blackhawks. Dallas and Winnipeg are still number 1 and 2 in the Central, as have been for quite some time now. Looking forward to some shakeup here in the second half of the season. The Nashville Predators' next game will take place on the road, so let me give you their road record. 8-8-3, good even 500. That is actually a very good, strong number considering the horrors of the early season-long road trip to northwestern Canada. 105 goals for, 113 against. It's a -8 differential. That is the lowest the differential has been for the Nashville Predators in quite some time, and they have definitely had an uptick in offense. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment. The Nashville Predators' next game on this road trip, it's a part of a 5-game road trip. The second game of the 5-game road trip will take place against the Washington Capitals. It'll be the second and final regular season meeting between the Nashville Predators and the Washington Capitals. The Caps won in Nashville back on October the 29th. It was a 3-0 victory for the Capitals. Kemper got the shutout with 34 saves. Saros took the loss with 32 saves, and Ovechkin scored a goal in that game, as he has done so many times before. Once the Nashville Predators wrap up this game against the Washington Capitals, Monday they will be in Ottawa to take on the Senators, then Wednesday at Toronto, Thursday at Montreal is where they will close out the road trip before coming back to Bridgestone Arena. The 14th of January versus the Buffalo Sabres for the first time this season, and the 16th of January versus the Calgary Flames at Bridgestone Arena. Now, the Nashville Predators' opponent, the Washington Capitals, are having a decent season so far, 22-13-6 overall. 50 points on the season has them 4th overall in the Metro, a highly competitive Metropolitan Division on home ice. Impressive record of 12-5-3, a goal differential of +22. Let's go back and take a look at the last 5 games for the Washington Capitals, the most recent stretch of hockey. Go back to December the 27th, coming out of the Christmas break. It was a 4-0 victory at the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. On the 29th of December, a 4-3 overtime loss versus the Ottawa Senators. On the 31st of December, on New Year's Eve, was a 9-2 win versus the Montreal Canadiens. Ovechkin had a huge game that day. On the 3rd of January, a 5-4 overtime loss versus the Buffalo Sabres, and most recently a 6-2 victory at the Columbus Blue Jackets. Taking a look inside the rankings and the matchups between these two teams, the Nashville Predators have had a significant uptick in offense as of late, but still, their overall league ranking is not so wonderful. 2.78 goals per game is good for 27th in the NHL. The Washington Capitals are putting 3.34 goals up per game. That is 10th best in the NHL. In the goals against category, 16th best in the NHL for the Nashville Predators, 3.03 given up per game, while Washington's giving up 2.76 per game. That is 9th best in the NHL. When it comes to shots on goal, the Preds are 20th in the NHL, generating 30.8 shots on net per game, while the Washington Capitals are 31.7 shots per game, and that is 16th best in the NHL. Shots against, the Caps are 12th in the league, giving up 30.5 against per game, while the Nashville Predators are giving up 34.2 shots. Now, of course, the most recent shots against are definitely skewing that. That's 29th in the NHL. When it comes to special teams, the Nashville Predators 28th rated power plays, only converting at 18.3%, while the Washington Capitals are 16th best in the NHL, 22.9% conversion rate, or 30 out of 131 opportunities. When it comes to the penalty kill, Washington's ahead of the Nashville Predators in this metric, 11th best in the NHL, 81% kill rate. They've given up 22 power play goals on the season. The Nashville Predators are 15th in the NHL in the penalty kill. They have a kill rate of 78%. 0.9%. Do want to mention for the Nashville Predators, Cole Smith still listed as day-to-day, and Mark Borowiecki still on long-term injured reserve. No word on when he may return from concussion symptoms. Now, when it comes to each and every team in the NHL, they have high-skilled individuals, and that's why we always take a moment to talk about the scoring leaders and the individual stats leaders for each of these teams. For the Washington Capitals, the home team in this game, let's start with Alex Ovechkin. Of course, it always starts with Alex Ovechkin when it comes to Washington Capitals. 28 goals, 19 assists, 47 points on the season. Of course, those 28 goals do lead the Washington Capitals, and the 47 points overall lead the Washington Capitals, and he is no doubt going to be the all-time NHL goals leader. It's going to take about 2 more seasons, but he's going to get there, and there's no sign of him slowing down at this point. 28 goals already on this season. Kuznetsov, second on the Washington Capitals in scoring, 6 goals, 28 assists for 34 points. Those 28 assists are number 1 on the team, so 28 assists leads the Caps. Strome, third on the team in scoring, 8 and 24-28. Sheary, 11 goals and 16 assists for 27 points, and Gustafsson, 6 goals and 17 assists for 23 points. Lindgren in net, a record of 11-4-2 and 9.14 save percentage, 2.57 goals against average. Darcy Kemper in net, 10-9-4 record, 9.16 save percentage, 2.58 goals against average. So very similar numbers between both of the netminders for the Washington Capitals. When it comes to the Nashville Predators and their statistics, Philip Forsberg leads the team in scoring, and he has been hot as of late, and the rest of the offense has been following right behind him. Philip Forsberg now has 15 goals on the season. That leads the Nashville Predators, 19 assists, and that equals 34 points, 34 points being the high for the Preds. Roman Josi has 9 goals and 22 assists for 31 points. Those 22 assists are the team-leading 22 assists. Matt Duchene is 11 and 18 for 29 points. Mikhail Granlund, 4 goals and 21 assists for 25 points. And Nino Niederreiter, 12 goals and 9 assists for 21 points. UC Saros in net, 14, 10, and 5 record, a 9.18 save percentage, of 2.77 goals against average. Those numbers just continue improving. Lankinen expected to get the start, especially after the workload UC Saros faced in this most recent game. Lankinen has a record of 3-4-1, save percentage of 9.16, and a goals against average of 2.91. Nashville Predators have a quick turnaround. They have to go immediately from Carolina into Washington, 24 hours to handle this back-to-back. The Nashville Predators have to be on their game, and they definitely were pushed to the limits in Carolina. We're going to recap everything that happened in that game coming up next. It's called the Rebirth Sports Full Game Recap. Rebirth